Hi everyone, I'm here today to talk about purpose, which is just such a huge and important and juicy topic. And I want to talk specifically about how purpose is related to the fear of death and how it's related to struggle. So, one of the things that's prompting this is that there is this I would say increasingly common idea and belief that if it doesn't come easily, then we shouldn't be doing it. If it doesn't come easy, then it's not right for us. And this can be really unhelpful. It can be an unhelpful belief, an unhelpful dialogue if we don't really understand what that means, or if we take that just at face value and we apply that to our lives, because then we can be preventing ourselves from purpose and meaning. So I want to explain this and explain what's going on there. So these what I'm going to be exploring are a couple of archetypes in the human design chart. And these are specifically gate 28 and gate 38. And 28 comes off the spleen center in the chart, 38 comes off the root center. And I'll primarily be talking about 28. But before I get into that, I want to share a thought, a tip for you. So, no matter which archetype I'm talking about, it doesn't matter whether you have it in your chart or not. Because the truth is that you have the whole chart. When you look at your human design chart, you've generated it, it's sitting in front of you, you'll see areas that are colored in. And oftentimes we think that what's colored in is in our chart. That is us. And if it's not colored in, if it's white, it's blank, then that's not us. We don't have it. But the truth is that you have it. It is all your chart. It's all there. Gate 28 is not missing in your chart. It's there, whether you have it colored in or not. So when something is colored in your chart, we say that's defined. And when something is defined in your chart, that means that you're going to experience that archetype in a certain way. And it's primarily in your own way, through you, through your experiences. Whereas if the gate 28 is white, it's undefined, that means you are likely to experience this theme, this archetype in your life in an inconsistent way, in a conditioned way. So through other people and through the experiences they're having in that archetype and the frequencies they're emitting from that archetype. So there's that. Just want to start right off the bat with that idea. And then the second point I want to make is that if you have, for example, I can use myself and my chart as an example. I have gate 38 defined in my chart multiple times, and I don't have gate 28 defined. So what this means is that I am a magnet for the conditioning of 28, for the conditioning and the experience of gate 28 to come into my life. My gate 38 being opposite, they form a channel together in the chart. So my gate 28 is this huge magnet that's trying to pull in the experience of 28. So this is a really interesting lens that you can look at your chart and your experience through, because certain things in your aura, right? The human design chart, the human design system, it's the science of the aura. So there are little magnets, little plugs or little arms in your soul or in your body that are reaching for certain people, certain experiences, certain conditioning. And so you can look at your chart and, maybe you have 38, maybe you have 28, maybe you don't have either, but then you can kind of apply that lesson to yourself and your experience. So we are all going to, in life, experience this theme of gate 28 and gate 38, whether you have it defined or undefined. So let's get into it. Gate 28, this is the fear of running out of time, and it's the fear of purposelessness. And this does tie directly to purpose. And it is at its basis, at its deepest, it is the fear of death. So, in our fear of running out of time, we are afraid that we will get to the end of our life and discover that there was no point to it, that there was no meaning. So, gate 28 is a sense of what is worth our time in its higher expression. It's an intuitive sense of what is worth our time and what is worth our struggle. Because in life, there is inherent struggle. So what is worth it? It's an intuitive sense of what is worth it. And so if you have gate 28 or 38 in your chart, you are likely somebody who really needs a struggle, and you are designed to thrive in struggle, create struggle. It doesn't mean that your life is going to be struggle and painful in a kind of miserable way, but it means that you are meant to find struggle that is correct for you. So again, back to that current rhetoric that's becoming increasingly more common, that things are supposed to be easy in life, and if it's not easy for you, then it's not aligned. That can be inherently correct for all of us, but especially people with gate 38 and gate 28, because these gates in the chart, this archetype of the human experience, is saying that we find meaning and purpose through correct struggle. So this is very, very important to know. Now, there is a low expression of this gate. As with all human experiences, there's a low expression of this archetype, and there's a high expression. And if we start with what the low expression is telling us, or what it's showing us, or how it plays out in our life, this is a feeling of purposelessness. It's a fear of purposelessness. We have no purpose. We are out of alignment, and we are oftentimes creating struggle, making mountains out of molehills, and very frequently this becomes running from the fear in a way where we are engaging in gambling behaviors, risky risk-taking behaviors, because not all risk-taking is bad. We need to take risks, but dangerous risks that really cause pain and suffering for ourselves and for others. And rebelling against the status quo, that's another big thing that we see here in gate 28, in the low vibration of it. Because we're so afraid of things being meaningless, and we have this sense that if we're struggling, then we're not dead. If we're struggling, then we're alive. And so it's the archetype of the warrior, and it's the part of the ego that wants to endure, wants to never die. It really wants to be immortal. So in creating problems and creating struggle for ourselves in this low vibration, we get the sense that we have a purpose, that we have a meaning. Things are hard, and so we get out of bed and we struggle, and we really value that in our society. We value that in each other, and we encourage one another to struggle, and to fight. But unfortunately, we encourage the low vibration of this. We encourage the misery and the incorrect struggle. So this can be personal drama that we create in our lives, and oftentimes in our personal relationships. If we are so afraid that there's no point to life, we're so afraid of death, we are afraid that everything is meaningless, that our time is meaningless, we haven't found that sense of purpose, then we can very frequently create it in our personal relationships. We create mountains out of molehills. We take risky behaviors, and we just build up these problems and start fights and start drama in our intimate relationships, in our personal relationships, in our day-to-day, that does give us a sense of purpose and a sense of meaning. So there is that side of us that does want to engage in the risk-taking behavior and the low vibration here. But there's also the side of us that can just kind of collapse and be very dull and have a very lackluster existence. That can also happen, where there's no energy, no movement. We're so frozen by the fear that everything is lackluster in our lives. So that's the other end of the spectrum. It's the other extreme. It's numbness, really. I'm looking at my notes here. So if we are not struggling for something that we feel is worth it, then that need for struggle, that need for purpose, the need for meaning can be redirected into our personal relationships. And this is very common. Or it can be redirected at our careers or our jobs, that sort of thing. Creating issues, creating struggle, again, so that we feel that we are alive and that we avoid death. So in the high vibration of this this intuitive sense of what our time is worth, this intuitive sense of what is worth struggling for, we enter into struggles correctly. And in human design, we talk about how we enter into things correctly through strategy and authority. So strategy for a generator. Was something attracted to you and you responded to it? If you're a projector, were you invited to struggle in this way? Were you invited into this opportunity? For a manifester, did you initiate this? Was this a divine urge you got? And did you initiate the struggle? And then you go to your authority, whatever your personal authority is. So when they are entered into correctly, we find that meaning and that purpose, and we feel this sense of aliveness. We come alive when we struggle for what we feel is meaningful, what is aligned for us and meaningful. We find that sense of purpose. So there is a sense of trust and surrender. There's a very feminine energy that we have to step into to find this higher vibration. We kind of live on the edge of life. We trust what life brings to us, and we no longer think of purpose as this thing that's out there in the future. We realize that purpose is actually right here. It's in this moment. It's right now that we are living our purpose. And this is something that I think we oftentimes get wrong when we're trying to find out what our purpose is. We're asking questions, we're seeking what is our purpose. We think it's somewhere in the future. We think it's this destination that we'll arrive at, this new person that we will be. And in that moment, in the future, yes, that will be our purpose. But right now, your purpose is right now. It's what you are doing right now. It's this moment. It's what you're being, what you're feeling, what you're in front of. And so there is this trust, there's a surrender, there's a letting go, and giving into where life will take you, where each moment is going to take you for the purpose of evolving you, for the purpose of, sweeping you up, changing you. And so we have to let go of our minds and give in to life, really. There again, it's that surrender, which is very, very feminine. Just letting life take us, to show us where our purpose is, and to show us what that higher purpose is, because ultimately purpose is always bigger than us. And I'm sure you've heard that before. Purpose is always something that is greater than the individual. It has to be connected to a sense of altruism. So we can be easily swept up in this low vibration of fear of death, fear of purposelessness, and creating our own false sense of meaning and purpose through incorrect struggle. But correct struggle is always going to involve other people in some way, a higher purpose, a higher meaning. And then that struggle it makes you feel so alive, and it doesn't feel hard in that way. There, of course, there's going to be difficult. Struggle is inherently difficult and challenging in some way, but it's not going to feel wrong. You're not going to feel forgotten or neglected or hard done by God or source or the universe. And you'll feel that you have found your purpose in this moment. So again, it's not a future place, your purpose. It's right now. And another thing that I'll add here is that sometimes when people come to me for a human design chart reading, they do want to know about their purpose. And oftentimes we think of purpose as just being our career nowadays. People want to know what their job is, what is going to make them money. And I'll get these questions in human design chart readings or beforehand. And the truth is that the whole of the human design chart is your purpose. And there is no one career or one place or one thing that you are going to identify with as being your purpose. In the human design chart, we see the whole of the human experience. You are the whole of the human experience. You have all of these archetypes within you. In the human design chart, there are 64 gates, and they all represent a specific human experience. And again, you have all of these in your chart. So your purpose is to experience all of these archetypes in a specific way, whether it's through other people or it's through you and your life experience. It's there to create your purpose. And again, so much of purpose has to do with surrender, with letting go, with trusting, with letting life take you, evolve you, show you to stop resisting, stop creating issues and problems that are incorrect. And then over time, we heal this sort of thing. We strengthen our intuition that says, this is worth my time. This is meaningful. I find this struggle so energizing, and it makes me feel alive. So there's a certain level of expectation that we need to manage here as well. Because oftentimes we have expectations about what our purpose is, and we have ideas about who we are or what the future holds for us. And through this archetype of 28 and the sense of purposelessness or purpose, we can experience major letdowns when it comes to, again, what we were experiencing or what we were expecting in life. Our experiences can cause a lot of heartbreak and disappointment. But when we release our expectation again and we let life unfold, we let it show us where we are meant to be and show us our purpose, then we can tap into our purpose, our alignment, meaning, and a reason to get out of bed. So that's something to think about. I hope that helps. I hope you'll take a look at your chart, and I'll talk to you next time.